We've all been there. You're in the throes of wedding planning. There doesn't seem to be enough money going around, and you really start to begin to question yourself, is this really worth it? Hello everyone, my name is Grace. I am the founder and owner of Budget Wedding Stories, where we help couples like you have incredible memories for affordable prices. Now, let's talk about what really matters. As someone who has seen hundreds of weddings, done wedding photography for almost 10 years now, I have seen a lot of different weddings prioritize a lot of different things. And I've kind of come up with a list from my brides of some of the things that consistently do matter to splurge on and don't matter to splurge on after the day. Because let's be honest, it's really rough. A lot of this actually comes down to the individual person. Do you really care about what your dress looks like? Are you a white dress kind of girl, or is this the most essential centerpiece for your special day? Are you really intent on having a phenomenal reception with insane dance parties and stuff like that? Or could you not care less and just maybe go for a picnic in the park? Or do you want that picnic in the park to be absolutely phenomenal? That's another question for you as well. So a lot of this does come down to individual preference, but these are consistently the things that I see across the board throughout the day, that people really do care about these things, and as a result are worth spending a little bit more time on, and sometimes a little bit more of the budget. Now, let's start with the things that actually do matter to splurge on a little bit. Number one, the dress. Okay, yes, as I said before, this can be a little bit controversial and up to individual preference, but traditionally the white dress is seen as the centerpiece of the day. Now, your dress may not be that color. It could be a floral, it could be pink, it could be red, it could be black. I've seen it all. But the dress often does take quite an important centerpiece throughout the day, and as a result is somewhere where a lot of people splurge on. Now, there are ways that you can still have your dress without it being insanely expensive. Online vendors from international companies are getting a lot better with shipping dresses that actually look like they will stay together throughout your wedding day, let's put it like that. You also, for me, a way that I saved literally thousands on my wedding dress was finding a recommended tailor on Marketplace. And he worked for one of the big bridal companies in the city that people would fly in to have their wedding dresses like fully tailored by him, but he was also doing some side work on the side, and as a result literally did my dress, probably a $5,000 dress, for $1,300, which I'm very happy with, considering it was handmade and it was all done within 6 weeks. That's something that's big as well. Waiting for that dress to be made. Some people who need a rush order, less than 6 months, I believe the bridal store was saying anything less than 6 months, it's considered a rush order, and they may not be able to cater to your personal needs. So yeah, that's an option as well. Finding a local reputable tailor, finding an online company, as long as you know your adjustments and know your individual sizing very well. I'd recommend either a friend who's an expert in sewing to get onto measuring you, or maybe it might be worth investing going to a local tailor or sewing expert. What do they call? What do we even call them? I've completely forgotten. Your local sewing lady, I guess. To get adjustments properly done. Number 2, something that is worth splurging on, interestingly, is entertainment. I've seen this consistently. Entertainment can really carry the vibe of a day. Now, this is especially if you are having a reception or like an extended nighttime session or party. Pretty much entertainment. What is keeping the vibes going throughout the day? Sure, yes, you can just pop on Spotify Premium and let that run throughout the night. That's actually what I had for my own wedding, but I did feel the breaks in between. And ironically, the reception lasted for longer than just an hour. So then music ended up looping. It got a little bit awkward. The vibe started getting infringed. There was a section during the dance session that some music came on that was a little bit raunchier than I realized now thinking about it. And Perhaps if there was some live entertainment, a DJ, they would have been able to sense the mood and pivot, but we just awkwardly worked our way through it, and it took a couple of songs for the vibe to really come back on the dance floor. Unfortunately, it is what it is. Look, you look back and you laugh at it. Here's me being cheap and it didn't pay off. But it may be a little bit better for your day. Maybe someone who's a little bit more musically aware might be able to run the Spotify playlist for you. But either way, being intentional about the entertainment that you have or the musicians that you have present is something that goes a very long way. Planner. Now, you don't have to splurge thousands. I know you hear that and you're like, oh, one of the things that if I did my job well enough at the start, I wouldn't have to worry about on the day. I totally agree. I think planners are very valuable. I didn't have a full day coordinator. I just had a ceremony coordinator, and even then she made her worth, like her weight worth in gold. I think that's how the saying goes. She was incredible for the ceremony actual part, but I would, if you are able, to consider having a paid coordinator for the day. But if you cannot, having someone whose sole job is on the day coordination. I'm not talking about someone who's already a bridesmaid, because they already have enough things to worry about. In fact, you should have someone who is liaising with the coordinator who is on the bridesmaids team. Normally that runs to the maid of honor, ideally, but if there's someone who gets overwhelmed and stressed, it's probably best to assign it to someone else who doesn't have many duties. But either way, there should be a coordinator who knows where everyone's at, knows what's happening, knows which vendors are there, which things you're doing DIY, who knows pretty much all of your options and is able to work in between it all. It will save you a lot of headaches. It will save you a lot of chaos and pain and stress, even for most of well-planned wedding days, but it's definitely an option worth having. Please consider it. But if you don't have someone who is a very type A personality, on top of their spreadsheets, checklists and budgets, has everyone's contact details, because it'll really take a weight off of your shoulders and really leave you to be able to actually enjoy the fruits of all your labor and enjoy the day itself. Number 4 and 5, actually I'm going to combine these together, and I know I'm a little bit biased, but photo and video. And I say this not because I am a photographer and a videographer. I say this because at the end of the day, all the alcohol gets drunk. The flowers eventually die if you don't have them properly pressed or preserved, so make sure to think about that before your day. The venue closes its doors and everyone gets kicked out. At the end of the day, often what you are left with is a few physical mementos, like your flowers and stuff like that, but also your photo and your video. And I wouldn't recommend video for every couple. I would recommend photo for pretty much every couple, unless you are of an odd 1% who is actually a secret diplomat or crime mob boss. But even then, I wouldn't recommend it for everyone. But if you're going to do it well, because a lot of the time your lead photographer ends up being a bit of your coordinator if you don't have a planner already set in place. And a videographer, if they don't do it well, you may as well not have it. I've seen lots of videographers over my years, and some of them I'm like, man, I wish you never picked up a camera, and I wish you were never entrusted with such important moments. Sometimes I think back to that myself. On one of my earliest weddings, I was like, you should not have been there doing that. You were so out of your depth. And I feel so sorry for those earlier couples, but that was almost 10 years ago now. We've learned a lot since then. But especially for video, if you're not going to splurge, if you're not going to invest, whether that be financially and making sure that you actually are spending your money correctly, or invest in terms of the person who you have on the day, you have redundancies in place, you know that they're able to do their job effectively, and you know what you're getting from them. I wouldn't spend money on video if you're not going to do either of those things. And I'm more than happy to talk about how to know these things. I'll expand in a later video, but essentially you want someone who, first of all, you know what you're going to get. Are you going to get the raw footage, or are you just going to get an edited highlights video? Or are you going to get a full documentary highlight video of the entire day? These are three very different things. And a lot of brides get frustrated when they get to the end and they're like, but I thought I was getting a video of the whole day. And it's like, no, you only ordered this, or you only ordered this. So making sure that you communicate with your videographer about what you're getting, and make sure you have your expectations set for it. So for example, if you're getting the raw files from this videographer, say you've gotten a student fresh out of uni, they're like, I can do this and I'll hand over all the raw files for you. Know that raw files are not going to look the same as, for example, a fully edited video. They're going to often, a lot of the times, look actually really dark. And that may scare you. You may be like, I can't see anything. It's because you don't have the proper tools and software to know what's happening in the footage itself. Same with a lot of log footage. If it's filmed on a very professional camera, it looks really grey and sometimes really grainy. You're like, why does this look pretty much like a grey slate? It's because it's filmed in a detail that allows for more work to be done on it by a professional later on. A lot of times it can be sometimes blurry initially, or it may look very shuddery. That's because there are filters and stabilizers and softwares that are supposed to be applied to that footage to make it look like the wonderful, beautiful videos that you see scrolling through Instagram every day. So that's something to be aware of. If you are going to source your own videographer, and especially someone who's a little bit newer, knowing what you're getting from them. Photographer, of course, it's easy for me to say. This is one of the things I did splurge a little bit more on, just because I knew that was one of the few things that was going to remain with me afterwards. And so whether that be you have not too many photos delivered, but you have them there for a long amount of time, or if you are going to have them there for a short time, getting lots of images delivered, albums, prints, stuff like that, the physical items can always be added on later. That's something that a lot of brides don't realize. Photographers are almost always willing to add on extra albums, extra prints, extra digital products later on. So maybe it's worth investing in a smaller package up front, but then adding on extras afterwards when you guys have made it through the chaos of wedding planning and budgeting, and you finally have a little bit more finances to, really set up your future life together. Okay, so those are the things that you should splurge on. How about the things that you don't? Now let's take the principle that we had at the start. The things that you should splurge on are the things that last. And so, of course, the inverse is, what are the things that don't last? Or what are the things that will disappear very quickly after your day? Or, in a sense, disappear in your guests' minds as well. And so this can be a multifaceted conversation. Sometimes a lot of advice will be, you should be focusing on XYZ, etc., because these are the most important things. And it's like, okay, well, is it important to you? Is it important to your guests? Or is it important to the memory of your wedding? Or is it important to your finances? These are how you judge what you should be spending your money, time, and effort in. So, for example, one of the things that if a couple was looking to just cut a quick few $100 from the wedding day, now, of course, remembering these things, that this is of your own volition, and if you are going to invest into these things, I would highly recommend seeking out a reputable vendor for these things. But some of the things that, if you're going to cut, and I personally cut as well, and I see a lot of brides cutting, is, for example, like stationery and singular signage, pretty much signs saying go this way or going that way. If you are going to do it, you can order decals and stickers and stuff like that very affordably off of sites like Etsy. I think Temu and Shein may have custom designs as well. To be honest, you can also find local people in your area who do like signage and stickers and stuff like that, who can sort it for you. I've seen beautiful ones done on like mirrors that have been thrift shopped, or like glass frames and stuff like that. And you're like, that looks gorgeous, but if I look really close, I know I'd be able to get that frame from Kmart and that piece of glass from somewhere else. So it's all about being smart about how you do it and recognizing the components that you can do versus the ones that you can't. Number 2, getting ready outfits. They look really cute for a couple of pics, sure, yes, I agree, but they are also another quick way to just quickly cut a couple $100 from your budget. Maybe, yes, you can get some really cheap ones off of Temu or Shein, or you can even custom design the stickers and put them on outfits yourself. That's totally possible, iron them on. That's another way of doing it, but if you want a quick way to get rid of some money, to save a little bit in your budget, I would recommend just giving the getting ready outfits. And maybe you can swap it in for a theme. So maybe we all wear pink, or maybe we wear, I don't know, a certain type of headband so that we're matching in something rather than nothing. 3, and this is my biggest area, favors, wedding favors. People don't need gifts afterwards. Their presence is a gift. Thank you very much to you guys. And you don't have to bribe them to come to your wedding. You've fed them. There's been entertainment. Hopefully all is well. Unless it's a really practical wedding favor that people will use for years to come, or if it's really custom and really cool, a lot of the time you just end up being left with them. If you're going to order them, I would probably order about only 2/3 of the total head count for them, just to save a little bit on your day. And maybe people might fight for them a little bit more and be a little bit more keen to jump into them. I've seen sometimes like dessert bars acting as a favor. So you've got all the desserts lined up and maybe it's like a custom little bag from the couple or something like that, or a custom date and their initials on like a little label on the bag. And so that's a way that you could make wedding favors that are a little bit more customizable and a little bit fun, and if there's some left over, it's not the worst in the world. Number 4, centerpieces. I have seen some incredible centerpieces literally just done with foliage off the side of the road. People don't realize this. Floristry, if you're going to invest into it, one of those things where you should go all out if you are going to properly invest into it. But there are also components that you can save on. So maybe you just focus on the bouquet itself being custom rather than the entire, all the centerpieces, arbor, stuff like that, the aisle, floristry. My brain is not working today. I'm very tired. New Year's Day life. So maybe just skipping the centerpieces, opting for a couple of candles, it's totally okay. Most of the time, people actually want to see each other across the table, and you can't do that if there's massive centerpieces that are distracting conversation and not allowing for that natural flow of interaction. And ultimately, like I said before, number 5, anything that isn't a priority. Okay, you don't care about wearing a dress? Go for it. Wear your jeans. Totally okay. Having a reception isn't a priority for you, that's totally okay. Skip the reception, go to Domino's. Having a cake isn't a priority for you, totally fine. A, you don't need to serve a cake. B, there's always the Woolies mug cake that you can get on the day. Anything that ultimately isn't a priority, aside from the 2 of you guys and your celebrant, you are at full liberty to cut it. Traditions are wonderful. Traditions are great. I highly recommend following traditions and embracing them. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's your wedding day. And ultimately, you guys are often the one paying for it. So if it isn't a priority for you, just completely cut it. It's okay. I give you permission to do it. Anyway, thanks for listening in. Hopefully we've helped you have a little bit more of an incredible wedding for a little bit more of an affordable price.